This is an intro. Who needs an intro? I don't need an intro. This is just a vape show. It's just a vape show. Vape show. This is an intro. Who needs an intro? I don't need an intro. This is just a vape show. It's just a vape show. Vape show.
YouTube, what is up? I'm your homeboy Josh, back at you, and today we're taking a look at the Daedalus from Avid Artisan. We're gonna throw a build together too. This is a fun little device, I have to say. For someone that's getting into building, I think it's a really good one to have. And this one's going out to Hervé Blanchon, who won the Coil Wars giveaway. But before I get it out to him, I do need to complete this review. Thanks, Hervé, for letting me borrow this for another minute. There's something in this kit for anyone who's ever thought about getting into building. It says Daedalus, to be an artisan of vaping. On the front, you've got a picture of the workings of the device, and right now that device is basically making a clapton coil for you. On the back, you get a list of some information about what's included in the box, and it's a very hard box to open. God. You get a manual telling you all about the inner workings and how to use everything. Basically a little quick start guide to get you started using it, and it shows you how to make your own clapton coils right here in the guide. You get a set of extras. You have this nifty little tool. You get a vice grip. You get your drill. Best thing about the drill? Yeah, it takes dual 18650s to power this thing, which is something, if you're a vapor, you probably have already. That's one thing that I actually really like about it, that it takes two 18650s. Sometimes I forget to charge my drill, so I would reach for this. And I would use this because I forgot to charge my drill. I'd pop two 18650s in here and I'd be back to building once my drill died. I used it on the Dude RDA video as well. We threw together that triple staggered fuse clapton with it. Freehand, not using any of their tools, but it came handy. I kind of wish I had a mod this size, honestly. I think that would be an awesome mod. So what you all have here is basically a full kit to get you started with your builds. If you've ever thought about trying to get into the more exotic builds, building your own claptons, your own fuse claptons, your own alien coils, your own anything really. Now, of course, with the Avid Artisan drill, the big pull for a lot of people is going to be that you can automatically make your own claptons and fuse claptons and even triple core fuse claptons. But what I like about this drill is how adaptable it is to someone that's just learning how to build and wants to move beyond what you can make automatically, wants to use this drill to learn more about building in general and what they can really make if they set their mind to it. See, the thing about this drill is it's slow. For some people, that's going to be a con. Take Dwayne Rambo, for example, the co-creator of Coil Wars. He's a speed freak. He likes to build at 2,500 RPMs full blast. To put that in perspective, the drill that I use normally only goes up to 800 RPMs. That's it. That's the Black & Decker drill that I normally use. This thing won't quite hit 800 RPMs. I want to say it's doing something like 400 to 600 RPMs. Something like that is what this thing is capable of. It's slow, but I can get this drill to go way slower than the drill that I normally use. I like going slow. I'm actually known to use a hand drill from time to time because I like going at my own pace. This thing has a full range that you can use to speed up, slow down. It's capable of just going at a snail's pace if you wanted to, and I really like that. Check this out. It's not even moving right now. It's on, it's not even moving. You have two controls on this tool. A 1, a 2, and a 0. 0 means it's off. 1 is your rotation. Right now it's going this way. It's turning this way right now. 2 rotates the other way. Going that way now. And then you've got this slider here. This slider controls your speed. You can have it all the way off and then gradually pick up your speed. Now, that may sound kind of loud, but in truth, it's pretty much whisper quiet in comparison to a regular drill. Now, the thing about it is that you can bring it all the way down to here. This is the slowest speed that you can go. That would take you a long time to make a fuse clapton, but you could if you wanted to. You could go at this pace, and honestly, it's probably too slow to make it. You probably want to speed it up, but this would be a good speed, for example, if you wanted to start off the strand, get the strand going before you picked up your speed gradually. And then by the end of the strand, you're an expert and you're going that fast. I'm kidding, of course. It takes time. It takes patience and it takes time to learn how to make some of these builds and some of these more exotic coils. It takes time to learn them, but it's fun. And this drill is something that grows with you. You can kind of take it and learn little by little, increasing your speed, getting a handle on what the wire is doing while you're putting that coil together. And I love it for that reason. That's what's great about this tool. If there's one real negative about it as a whole, the drill itself, what I would say is that it takes getting used to. If you're coming from using a regular drill like me, it may not be the most friendly thing to you at first. Awkward, seating wire into the chuck, for example. Basically, you open it up like this, right? And then seating the wire in, you don't really have a way to close down the drill easily on the wire. For me, what I do is I actually take the chuck completely off the drill, seat the wire into the chuck, and then put it back on the drill. The number 2 direction to take it off, and then open it up with your hand like this. Seat your wire on in there, close it down by hand. It just makes it a little bit more manageable if you ask me, a little bit easier to do. And then the number 1 setting to put it back onto the drill. That's it. The other thing that you can do is open and close the drill easily as well. It's number 2 to open it, but you're just grabbing the chuck, not the little adjustment knob. So opening it up, closing it down. That's how I like to work it. That's the one thing, that's the one real tip that I have for you in terms of using it. Don't waste your time trying to seat the wire into the chuck with this thing attached to the drill. It's take the thing off the drill, seat it into the chuck, then put it back on the drill. And it's basically the same issue that I have with the Fisker's hand drill. It's just not easy to mount your wire into the chuck of these smaller drills. It's a lot easier to do it with a bigger drill. That's the only thing about them. But once you get behind that, you find your technique in seating the wire in there, you're fine. Anyway, on to what you're really here for. Let's put together a fused clapton together. For starters, let's see how this thing works. You have this tool here, right? This is like your mount. This is what you're gonna seat your wire on. Your smaller gauge wire, your lighter gauge wire. This is gonna be your clapton wire, and it's sort of like an anchor for your clapton wire. What we're using is 40 gauge in this tutorial, and you can use something like, I would not go lower than 30. Okay, is what I would say. What I do is I like to position my wire so that it's going this way. There's a little bit of a cavern here, and basically that side is facing up. So you're not looking at your label, you're looking at this little bit here. This is supposed to be a little gap underneath there. Looks like a little spinning top on top of this thing. And it's meant to sort of spin kind of freely here. And you take one of these springs, just to ensure it does, and you put it on there just like that. You take out this nut from your baggie of extras and you tighten down this nut a little bit. You don't have to tighten it. I think it's really just there to ensure that this thing doesn't spin out off and come off at you, That's all. And then you have this little threading space here and you thread your wire on through this. And I did it again. I always do it every time I've tried using this. I forget what's honestly easier, and I have done it correctly at least once, is to thread it through here first and then put this all together. So thread it through the little eye and then put this on. That's the easier way to do it, honestly. So getting the cores situated, we're gonna be making a fused clapton, so we're using 2 cores. I take about 3 strands off the spool, straighten it all out. And straightening it all out, the best thing to do is just kind of pulse your wire a little bit with this thing. That's about it, until it's straight, and then bend it in half, clip it. That's what I like to do. And once you got your 2 strands, there's this extra little tool that comes in the baggie of extras, and you'll miss it if you're not careful, and it's an awesome little tool. And it's mainly made for 26 gauge or 28 gauge wire, okay? There's 2 of them, one for 26, one for 28. And for this build, we use 26 gauge. It's this little tool right here, this little tube, okay? This is the coolest little tool ever, and I kind of am sad I'm getting rid of it, giving it to Harvey. I kind of want to keep this thing, Harvey. It's basically just a little tube with a little slit kind of into it, cut perfectly for 3 strands of 26 gauge. So if you wanted to make a triple core, for example, you shove 3 strands of 26 gauge in here, and instead of fumbling with your chuck trying to get 3 strands, one into each one of these areas of the chuck, you just have this little tube. Put the wire through it and then fold the wire over on the back end. You just open it up and close it down. That's it. Now the wire is seated in the chuck there. You can tighten it a little bit more just to be safe. That's it. That's a really smart implementation. It's really, really easy to now put 2 cores, 3 cores, 4 cores, however many cores you can fit into that thing, and seat them into the chuck of your drill without having to fumble with fitting your wire into the separate areas of the chuck. It's a really smart little idea to include something like that. I really like it, and I want one. I might find a way to make myself one, because that's awesome. And then once you've got all the wires situated on the chuck, and pushing it through one of the apertures on this. This thing has 3 separate sort of apertures here, holes that you can fit your wire through, your core wires. How many wires you're using, how thick they are. They fit through these little holes, go in through there, and then come out the far end over here. You can make them as long as you want. We're just using a single strand here for single coils. Now I found that the middle holes seemed to work better for me when I wanted to make my own used claptons here. If I used the top hole, it kind of was too restrictive. The angle was wrong and it wouldn't move as freely. And if I used the bottom hole, it kind of lifted the thing up and the same problem occurred. So I guess it's sort of just use whichever one seems to work the best for you, depending upon how the wire is positioned, depending upon how many wires you're using, that kind of thing. You may have to make some accommodations with the levels at which you place the items in order to accommodate that. What I noticed is that the middle one seemed to work best for my purposes, which was 2 strands of 26 gauge. And once all that is situated, you basically just turn on the drill and let it rip. And this thing basically moves across the table away from you, and the drill stays stationary, and it's just sort of claptoning the wire onto your core wires from here. That's it. That's it. It's awesome. And with all that, it's pretty much a hands-free operation. Like, I'm literally taking the camera and moving it around to show you guys what's going on while this is making the fuse clapton for me. It's a new experience for me. I'm used to doing the grunt work myself, not having a machine do this for me, but I guess it's kind of nice sometimes to have something done for you. And since this is Corrugated month over on the Coil Wars page, and in a few weeks we're going to have the reveal of our first winner of Coil Wars battles, well, I thought I'd go ahead and throw together a bit of a corrugated build as well. So I took 2 strands of 0.1 millimeter ribbon wire that Coil Master sent on over, and I basically fused those together the same way. Took about 2 strands, 2.5 strands off the spool, folded them in half, slipped them through the same 26 gauge eyelet, and then positioned them back into the drill and fused those together in much the same fashion. Maybe it's the way that I oriented the wire, maybe it's the way that, I don't know, but it wasn't moving right, and it kind of got bunchy. I kind of had to take it and move it myself and allow this thing to, just take it and do some manual control. And I think that goes back to, I was saying about surfaces. It all depends on the surface that you're doing this on and how automated it's going to be. This table, has all kinds of texture all over it, and I think it got kind of hung up on the table. It wasn't really moving properly, so I had to go ahead and take it and move it manually myself. I think on another surface, it may have worked better. A bit of trial and error with this tool as to how automated it's going to be. And I think it depends upon, the speed of your drill, what surface you're putting it on, core wires you're using. Mileage may vary with this thing in terms of how automated it is. It worked great for the 26 gauge cores. Didn't work so well with the 0.1 millimeter ribbon wire. I'm not really sure why. A little paper crimper. Love this thing, man. Corrugated the wire, and then I wrapped my coil. I wrapped my fuse clapton first, kind of spaced it out to make a good amount of room for the corrugated wire to sit, and then I wrapped the corrugated wire parallel to it in a star fashion, meaning it was horizontally wrapped ribbon wire that's been corrugated. And it creates kind of a look of a star. Wrapped it around a 2 millimeter internal diameter using some of the tools from the Coil Master toolkit, and I mounted it all up in the double vision deck from the iJoy Combo series, and I put it in the RDA adapter. Horizontally wrapped ribbon wire or flat wire can create some massive, massive clouds because it's all about surface area. And corrugating it like this creates even more surface area and little caverns where the juice can collect. Using it together takes it to that next level. And then putting it up together with a fused clapton coil, awesome. It's a delicious, flavorful vape, and it's a fun, easy coil to make, honestly, if you have the right tools. Point is that with the Daedalus, you can pretty much build anything that you want to build, and you can start out small, making things that are automated like fused claptons, and then growing from there. I also thought I'd share with you some thoughts from not just me, but one of my other subscribers that wrote to me with their opinions of the Daedalus. She had some interesting critiques on the product as well, and I thought I'd share those with you. I hope you don't mind, Kelly. Kelly writes, "Hi Josh, normally I write in your YouTube comments instead of email, but I wasn't sure where to put this, so I'm rocking it old school. I have a couple ideas, comments I'd like to run by you. The Daedalus Coil Builder tool. Mine just came in, and so far I've made a few claptons, some 3-quart aliens, and a staggered fused clapton. All were easy and fun. The main thing is that the drill has completely replaced my electric drills. Now I only use the Daedalus and my Fiskars to build. That's the hand drill I use from time to time." She says, "Frankly, I love the drill. The big drawback for her is the post on the wire spool holder device is too big in diameter for every wire brand she has except the B brand." She means KB, and you can pick that up mainly on eBay or Amazon, but they have a better selection on eBay. I need to pick some up because their prices are awesome, but PayPal is being a bitch. Back to anyway. Temco, Master of Clouds, Pure Atomist, all are too small. I don't have any Twisted Messes or Kidney Puncher or Anarchist wire, but I don't think any of those come on spools anyway, so they won't work. You'd have to spool them up first. She said she addressed her problem by literally drilling out the spool centers with her electric drill. What a pain in the ass, but it worked. The spool diameter problem is the only truly serious fail, in my honest opinion, with this gadget. Second thing is to be sure to tighten down the spool with the spring and nut included pretty tight. A lot tighter than you'd think would be right. If you don't, it'll just double wrap everywhere and make a mess. My coils came out gorgeous and consistent, and the process was fun and easy and fast. She says the results are, for her, comparable to building them by hand, but it is somewhat faster. Tools and gizmos are all pretty ingenious and adaptable to many building techniques. Overall, it's a win, and I think you'll like it. We talked about some other things as well, some things that she's researching in terms of wick collapse, which is an interesting concept, which we may revisit another day. She mentioned that she had a problem with any wire except for KB. I will tell you that Lightning Vape's wires seems to fit pretty well. You do have to make sure you punch out all the paper around the little spool hole here, but seems to work okay. That's what I've been using primarily. Lightning Vapes is what I've primarily been using ever since I started building, but I definitely want to try KB because I hear good things. I did notice though that the 30 gauge spool is too small. Indeed, the 30 gauge spool will not fit. Now the lowest that you'd ever want to go with a Clapton, if you ask me, is 30 gauge. And really, I normally don't go lower than 34. 36 is usually what I use. And honestly, the smaller you go, the better the flavor. So I like to use 40 particularly. So some wire spools definitely do seem to fit better than others. The 26 gauge spool seems to fit just fine. Not that you'd ever Clapton with 26 gauge. It looks like there's some inconsistencies in some of the diameters of these spool holes. So you might run into that particular issue. But I totally agree with you, Kelly, that this device has a lot of flexibility as you move through learning to build. It's very similar in certain ways with the speed to building by hand. It's a good sort of transition, a step up from making coils by hand, maybe if you've been doing that in the past, to working with a drill and working with a power tool. I like that comes with extras too. Like you get an extra one of these. This is like an extra eyelet area for over here. You get an extra nut, you get an extra spring. You also get swivel tools, which we're not using in this tutorial, but you take the two fishing swivels, ball bearing fishing swivels. These are good swivel tools. These are similar to the ones that I use normally. Anchor one end to the other like that. Close it off. I'm not going to close it off right now because I'm going to take it right off, but then you take this guy, big end, loop it through this, is what I would do. And then you've got your own little swivel tool ready to go. Anchor it down onto a table, anchor it down onto a countertop, whatever. So that's all anchored into place, and you've got your swivel tool ready to go. And on the far end, you've got your drill. That's it. Anyway, guys, that is the Daedalus from Avid Artisan. You can pick one up at heavengifts.com for $79. If you use code ANOMBOY at checkout, it takes 15% off your cart, and I get a small commission in return. So if you use that code, I definitely appreciate it. It helps support the channel. Till next time, I'm your homeboy Josh. Vape on, vapors.